Hello, everybody. My name is Guillaume. Thank you for staying until now. I appreciate the fact that you've been on all the morning, and I hope that you got value out of the per sessions. So this is really a workshop for yourselves. So I really feel I have to tell you in advance. I prepare some slides. I prepare some top level tips about how you can use LinkedIn for your business, for marketing, for sales, even for yourself. And obviously, we will have a Q&A session at the end. But if you have any questions or if there's anything relevant to a specific topic I'm talking about, feel free to put the question in the panel on the right hand side. So with that, let's jump in. So like I mentioned, we will talk about, we have three parts. One is about LinkedIn for you and for executives. Another is around branding and marketing, and another one is around sales and business development. Okay. Now, why I'm here, I'm talking to you today, is that I used to work at LinkedIn myself. So I worked there 6 years. I've gone through, was hired in London. I worked in France with some of the biggest companies in France. And I moved in Dubai 9 years ago when LinkedIn opened the office in the Middle East. We were three to launch LinkedIn operations in the region, and I've been in Dubai since. So I now I founded my company called Extra Mile. I'm doing advising and helping sales organizations in the Middle East. So anything to do with LinkedIn, of course, but anything maybe specifically related to digital sales. So this is the reason why I'm here, and I hope that you will get value out of this workshop. So why should you care about LinkedIn? You might have really top C-level executives in the region that are not really active or present on LinkedIn. And you might have also professionals considering LinkedIn as a job board still today. And I think it's a massive mistake. It's really kind of not really seeing the full potential of LinkedIn. It's the biggest professional network on the planet with 750 million professionals and more. And with that, it's, think about it as the biggest business place online. And so you need to be there. Why would you not be there? You need at least to be visible and present. And if you can contribute, that's even better. But there is a lot you can get out of being present and active and visible for yourself, but also for your business. So this is what we're going to be talking about. And I wanted to kind of stop here and ask you also for yourself. Why did you join LinkedIn, and why what is the biggest value you get out of LinkedIn, and what is the number one priority for you to actually be present on LinkedIn today? So yeah, professional networking. I can see some answers. Please feel free to interact. This is for you. So what's the number one? Networking. So networking is the number one here, but when you think about it, because you have such a massive audience, it's a huge opportunity for brands, especially B2B business brands. So yeah, broadcasting, great. So thank you so much. Professional networking, looking for suppliers. We were talking about capital earlier on, or talent. Obviously, LinkedIn is fantastic for recruiting talent, or raising funds, or finding partners, or co-founders, or finding investors. So whatever the business you're in and your role, there is always something you can get out of LinkedIn. So reason why it's really important is, obviously, things have changed. Obviously, we've gone through COVID, and I think this has been addressed quite a significant amount of time during the morning. But when you think about the relationship between buyers and sellers, historically, couple of decades ago, the power was in the hand of the seller, right? So they had all the information on their product or the services, and buyers had to go and see the sellers to actually understand how they could help them. So this is where it's really kind of face-to-face transactions, and the power was really in the hand of sellers. Obviously, with the online and internet, then it became kind of multi-channel, and it was kind of a fair balance between buyers and sellers. Buyers could actually do a lot of research already using internet, and then they were actually, in the end of the process, meeting a couple of suppliers they selected face-to-face. Now, things have totally changed, and the power is really in the hand of the buyers. They can really make massive amount of research, educate themselves, and even select really buyers way before even sellers are aware that that buyer is interested in their product. So there is face-to-face internet and social networks, and social media has really kind of revolutionized that way of buying. And obviously with the COVID and the work from home ecosystem now, we can actually see that if you really want to meet people now, you have to be online and on digital platform. And obviously LinkedIn is a big part of that. And this is a couple of stats around what has changed. And obviously one of the biggest learning as well in the last year and COVID impact is that the relationship with buyers of businesses and the customers has changed, but it's not going to go back. So it's here to stay, and companies need to transform their way of selling and their way of interacting with customers, but that's forever. So they really actually better take kind of long-term actions right now to actually transform the way they deal with customers and buyers. And you can see McKinsey, Forrester, Gartner. This is clear indications that things are here to stay. And there is a Gartner here saying, even in 2025, 80% of B2B sales interactions between sellers and buyers will occur in digital channels. So obviously, businesses, absolutely, this is critical for any businesses now to be online and to be visible. Even if you're not an e-commerce or an online business, you need to have a presence online. So hence LinkedIn. So before we're going to the part when we talk about LinkedIn for your business, I figured we are all humans, we're all people, and actually it's also interesting to know what's in it for me. So I just prepared a small section around what are the kind of top level tips I could give to executives or professionals or C-level or leaders on ways to get LinkedIn, to get value out of LinkedIn. So most people will start with your professional branding or your profile and so on. But actually, I wanted to kind of like flip the presentation here and start taking control. So my suggestion is the main reason why people don't get value and actually are discouraged or not really seeing any value out of LinkedIn is that they have not understood how you can set or change the settings and the privacy settings as well as other things and your preferences to your likings. So obviously, a person that is a C-level will be maybe wanting to be communicating differently than actually a seller or a recruitment consultant, right? Or a job seeker. So you need to change your privacies accordingly. You need to, for example, in privacy here, if you go to settings and privacy settings on LinkedIn, in the privacy here, you will have choose who you can connect with, okay, and who can connect with you. So you can easily limit the number of connection requests you will get by changing this. And obviously, if you're C-level or someone very popular, you want actually to be in control of who you want to connect with. But if, for example, for people to connect with you, you want to kind of limit that or restrict it. You can choose if connections can see your connections list and download your email address. You can make follow button primary, so you don't keep your connect button primary, you make it secondary and you replace the connect button with follow button. If you are a public person or popular person or thought leader, you want to actually make the follow button primary because you don't want to make people connections. You want actually people to follow you and follow what you say. So privacy important, communication, what messages are you open to, and turn off and on notifications so you don't get harassed by notifications if you join a couple of groups. Or if you're actually, again, very popular and a lot of people engaging with your post, you don't want to receive notifications from hundreds of people engaging with the post. Visibility, select what others see when you view their profile. Again, if I'm in HR or I'm an HR director at Karim or MR or Emirates, and I'm looking at candidates and I'm a C level, I don't want every single candidate potentially to actually see that I looked at the profile. So again, you can really kind of limit that visibility by actually toggling what you want LinkedIn to know. If you're in sales, on the contrary, you want actually buyers to maybe see why you looked at the profile and look back at you, so they know that you are selling XYZ product or services. And then finally, for the visibility, you need to edit your public profile to make sure that it's visible on Google. And if you don't want, you can actually toggle that off as well. So taking control of LinkedIn is actually the number one step you should be doing before investing in anything other than that. Then profile. So this is an example of Dubai Golf CEO. You see here is actually taking advantage of the banner on LinkedIn, because the first thing that people see when they visit a profile is actually the photo and the banner. So in that 1 or 2 seconds, you want actually to give a good impression about your business and give context on how you can help that person that visits your profile. If that person is a customer or potential partner or buyer, you want in 2 seconds give them an impression and a good understanding of what you are selling. If they are your ideal buyer, otherwise it's a missed opportunity. So buyer-centric branded banner, headshot photo, having a headline that is, helpful for buyers to understand how you can help them. So maybe, helping my customers achieve this, or accelerating sales results for SMEs in the Middle East, whatever it is. Job title and company name. And then you can actually also, you can see in the featured section, most people don't use this. You can actually highlight post or media for people to actually visiting your profile, actually seeing this media or this content. So again, you can take advantage of that to transform this into free banner ads. So for example, here, Dubai Golf, they have an ad around becoming a partner, unrivaled memberships, etc. Okay. So, and then after you have simple things like making sure that your current company logo appears, disable people also viewed box on the right-hand side, and follow maybe also one of the things as well. It's not related to profile, but it's a good practice, is follow your top 20 customers. So if you're an executive or C-level, there is no reason for you not to follow your top 20 customers of your business. You need to know what's happening in your customers, and a good way of knowing that is by following their pages or other executives at your customers. So this is an example of Martin, for example, at Infomineo. You can see on the right-hand side here is removed the people also viewed. So there's only the people you may know box on the right-hand side. Okay. And then I've actually included a slide here, and this presentation will be available at the end for everyone to kind of view it anyway. So you don't have to take notes, but I've got a LinkedIn etiquette on must, do and don'ts. One of the things that I wanted to highlight here is make sure that the biggest kind of etiquette on LinkedIn right now that is actually playing against everybody is salespeople reaching out to buyers or people who fit the profile, and they pitch to them right away. So it's not really about connecting and building relationships. It's really connecting and pitching. And we all seen that. It's not something that we appreciate. So one of the things is that really making sure that we also educate our sales teams not to do that. Another thing as well as leaders is, for example, spotlighting employees and customers. So one thing that is super useful is appreciating, and we talked about employees earlier on, employer relationship. It's really interesting on social media that you can actually appreciate employees or teams and recognize their value, recognize their effort. And so social media and LinkedIn as a leader is a great platform to do that, because you are saying, you are recognizing them, not just internally through an email, but actually to the world, that they are really great employees and great team to work with. So this is for the kind of highlight when it comes to using LinkedIn for leaders, for executives. Now I'm going to go through some tips when it comes to marketing. And obviously, I'm working with some organizations in the Middle East. They could be big brands. They could be mid-sized businesses. And what I've noticed is I'm talking to marketing as well, right? So when I'm talking to the sales leaders, usually marketing has a table, and this is really coordinated effort. So marketing needs to be aligned with sales. So I've got a question here quickly. We're going to be running a poll, and it's really about, so you have on the right-hand side a poll, and I'd love to get your feedback on that one. So over the next year, what will you be the most need to do to support your marketing priorities? So what will you most need to do to support your marketing priorities? And you have a couple of answers here. Improve use of data and analytics to make better decisions, improve marketing alignment, improve the way we measure marketing contribution, enhance partner channel marketing capabilities, and improve lead opportunity quality. So please use the polls. Great. So I'm seeing the results as well. I'm just keeping 10 seconds so you can actually participate as well. And I'll show you the results from those questions. And this poll is from Forrester. So they run it in their recent global research for 2022 trends for B2B marketing. So I'm really interested in seeing what you think about that. Okay. All right. So I can see here that most people have selected improve our use of data and analytics for decision making. And you can see here that according to the Forrester findings, when it comes to B2B marketing and planning for 2022, the number one here is improve marketing alignment and collaboration with other departments. So it's interesting. So for the participants, you are mainly talking about improving the way we measure marketing. No, sorry, improve our use of data. This one. Okay. So you can I've actually in the presentation, you have the link to the research report from Forrester. Highly recommend it if your business or you are involved in marketing, or if you want to know what are the latest kind of trends when it comes to B2B marketing for 2022. That report is really useful and interesting. So highly recommend it. So when we talk about marketing and branding, this is something I wanted to highlight. Really, I think it's a tremendous missed opportunity for brands, is that most brands are spending a lot of money investing in their brands and reaching out to audiences. And okay, this is a priority. It makes sense. But what those brands don't realize is that they also have advocates on LinkedIn. And so obviously we were talking earlier in the different panels about employees. If employees are taken care of, they will take care of your brand as well. And they will become your first advocates. So one of the things that is really important is you can actually invite employees to represent your brands and your colors on LinkedIn as part of their role. If they are in sales, it's even more capital for them to represent your brand and talk about your services and how they can help your customers. If you are in HR, or even you're an employee, you can actually help your company hire the best talent out there, because the more competitive your company and your employer becomes, the better it is for you as well. So in a way, there are ways of turning employees' profiles into branded profiles. And at the end of the day, the number one activity on LinkedIn is actually viewing other people's profile. So when you know about that, and you look at how many profiles you have, how many employees you have, and you multiply that by the number of search appearances they receive, the number of profile views they receive, and you multiply it by, and this is, for example, per week, and you multiply that by 4 and by 12 for the year, This is basically an always on free campaign that is running on LinkedIn for you. And most of the time, it's really kind of quality and relevant, because mostly people who view your employees will be maybe customers, people interacting with your employees, or maybe candidates or people in your industry for sure. So I've done kind of estimation here, but you can actually work it out. If you have 100 employees, it's around $500 to $2,000 per month worth of, it's basically the same amount if you were advertising on LinkedIn to run campaigns. So that's number one. Number two, one of the mistakes I see from brands is that they usually don't take advantage of their content or their LinkedIn pages. So I've actually compiled a couple of highlights from recent research around LinkedIn content and the algorithm on LinkedIn. And obviously, if you don't know how to use the algorithm or how it works, then it's like you don't even know what are the rules of the game. So you need to know the rules first, and then you play the game. If you are on LinkedIn and you're investing money, you need to know how the algorithm works. So then whatever you are investing, not even on advertising, but even in creating content, you might have people, you might have an agency creating content. This is money that is spent. So before actually you spend and post on LinkedIn, and create content and post it, you need to know the rules of the game. So understanding the algorithm, understanding, for example, if you have a company page, on average, a company post reach 3% of your followers, the people following the page, 3%, all right? If you have employees comment on a company post, it gets 8% more, 8 times more impact. So this is really important to actually get employees to comment, not just like or not just share, but comment on your employees' content. On your company's content. Likes. A like increases the reach of a post by 2%. So liking an employer or liking your company page or liking your colleague doesn't have any impact whatsoever. However, commenting is much better. So really, if you want to get content viewed by the right audiences, you want to have engagement, and you need to ask employees either to comment or to post it on their own. So by sharing the content itself, like the video or the image and the copy, you can share by email. And if you have employees actually posting the same content rather than liking, it's gonna make your content visibility explode. So links also is a really bad practice. If you post one link, it decreases the reach and the visibility of your post by 2, right? So hashtags also best is between 3 and 5, and running polls will have a lot more visibility and reach than just posting a normal post with an image. So really important, you know all of that. And obviously having a social selling index higher will actually also help with getting more visibility of your content. So this is something that most people don't know about, and I wanted to share, so it becomes kind of a best practice here. If you want to run ads, this is the way to go. So you have basically ads on LinkedIn, and then when you think about it, it's like the 3 steps. C, so it's around awareness. Think, it's around educating, and do is around inviting to action, generating or traffic to your website. And you have different ads corresponding to every step. One of the major mistakes I've seen in the Middle East and at LinkedIn, and since I advise companies, is that most people try straight away to go to the lead generation. So they actually have a small budget, they will run a lead generation campaign right away, and it won't work because no one has heard about your brand. The people who are seeing the lead generation ad have not seen the awareness or not been educated around how you can help them in the first place. So obviously the conversion and the success of your lead generation campaign is going to be very limited. So what you need to think about it is to bring your targeted audience through that journey. And it's you have some ads, you have different objectives, and you have different type of content that you can play with. But don't forget about those steps and this journey by be patient. Don't just go after the results and miss out the opportunity to raise awareness and educate your audiences. And one thing that people don't know about is also the depth of the criteria, the depth of the targeted criteria on LinkedIn. So obviously you can target people by companies, by job experiences, but most people don't know that you can actually name the companies, for example, or you can actually search by people by age, by gender, by job title, and then you can target people by interest as well, by groups. So there's a lot of things you can target people on LinkedIn with advertising. And the one on the blue side is something that most people don't know about, is that you can upload lists of your existing customers, and then LinkedIn will search lookalike audiences of people that are similar to your existing customers, meaning like prospects that fits the same criteria. So you can actually upload list of companies of prospects and run some lookalike audiences, or you can retarget people who already visited your website. For example, this event here was promoted on LinkedIn, and MEED, for example, can then retarget people who shown interest in the event on LinkedIn, rather than just spreading and starting from scratch every time. They can run campaign to people that they never had interactions with, and they now can do targeted campaigns to people who already engage with events or registered to events on LinkedIn. So this is something that I wanted to highlight. And obviously, if you have any questions, we can actually go over those questions at the end. Okay. The last part is about business development. So this is really about sales, social selling, and I'd like to give you an example around referral as well. So before that, I'd like to run a quick poll. And the question is, what criteria do you use to inform sales planning process? So let me explain here. What is the criteria that you are using to prioritize customers or prospects when you are planning your go-to-market or your sales strategy? When you are at the beginning of the year, for example, and you say, okay, we need to go and prospect more. What criteria do you use to select those companies and to prioritize those companies? And you have a list of different criteria. So I'd love to hear how you're doing it today. You can see actually that the number one criteria used for planning sales for organizations is revenue. So basically they actually say, we target the biggest companies based on the revenue. So any company doing $1 million more in revenue, then we're going to do mid-market based on revenue. Then we're going to do small businesses based on revenue. So they use the revenue to actually segment the companies and go and plan their process and plan their sales. And the second one is sales potential or sales opportunity. So you actually see you have geography, you have number of employees, you have different tiers here. What's interesting on the right-hand side is that when you look at tech companies and not tech companies, you can see using prospects overall revenue to identify potential customers. So the company using revenue are mostly non-tech companies. So sales organizations which are in non-tech industries. The tech industries sales organizations will actually use another one, which is the sales potential. So the number 2 here, right? So using sales potential is a more sophisticated data point to identify potential customers. And you can see that more tech companies than non-tech companies are using the sales potential criteria to actually plan their territory mapping or sales strategy or go-to-market for the sales organization. So this is something I wanted to highlight to you. And most people are using number of employee size or size of businesses or in terms of employees or revenue. And when you think about it, tech companies usually are much more sophisticated and have a lot more, let's say, maturity when it comes to sales. We look at Oracle, Microsoft, and SAP, and all of that. And it's worth noticing the difference between tech and non-tech here. So that's what I wanted to highlight, because SMEs, again, the better you plan, the better the more likely you achieve your goals. And this is an example here. So the reason why I'm talking about it is actually LinkedIn, for me, is an amazing place when it comes to getting updated information, not only on people, but also on companies. Companies will update their company page. They will update their size of employees or revenue, or the number of employees. When the company is growing, those employees are hired and they are joining that company as well. So you kind of have pretty much updated data on LinkedIn. Excuse me. And so when it comes to LinkedIn, you can actually see, you can really build a list of companies with industries and so on, and then you can use that to segment, prioritize, and this is what we're talking about, sales potential. So for example, size of accounts, size of buying teams, social proximity, easiness to win, or the potential. And those are the criteria that are not just about revenue or employees, but they could be a bit more sophisticated. And based on that, you can actually use whatever criteria you use to actually build a matrix and prioritize your segments. So this is a quick example here based on Sales Navigator and Forrester research on how an organization, even an SME organization, can actually better plan their go-to-market or their sales strategy. Another one here, so about sales methodology here, simple. Most people know about that funnel pipeline concept, where you have awareness, you have 3-stage awareness, and then interest, and then action or buying or consideration. When you think about it, it's very kind of sales oriented, very sales organization centered. And so when you think about it from a customer perspective, what happens when you sold? Whenever they bought, it's not in there. So what I wanted to introduce you to is a concept called the bow tie model. And what's really, really good is that this is applied by some really SaaS organizations in Silicon Valley. So you can actually see that the first year, the first triangle is pretty much the funnel that we talked about. We saw awareness, education, selection. But what is really interesting is that the journey here doesn't end. It's not because you close the customer that's it. There is still obviously how business is done through referral. So you really need to make sure that your customers are in the best place, they are using your product or services, and there's an impact. And then they will grow, and you will grow with them. So I wanted to show you this with a journey, which is here pretty much kind of linear, but in real life, you have loops. When you have, like, at the end, you send a proposal or you send a quote, and then there's a decision maker or the CEO involved. There will be doing a new presentation. So you might have a loop here happening. It's not going to be straightforward. You're kind of stepping back again, doing a presentation to the C-level decision maker, and then you'll have a decision quicker. But at the end of the day, some of the loops are actually required, and they will actually help you accelerate the sales process. And the same for the customer journey here. Once they bought, the better the loop, the more likely that there will be an impact. So at the end of the day, it's not straightforward. It's not that linear, but I wanted to kind of give you like the model here that I think it's really relevant to any service companies or SaaS companies out there. And here you can see that you have different methodologies in sales: solution selling, value selling, strategic selling, SaaS selling. So I just want to show you actually what they cover as well, so you actually can know where you are. Sorry, I've been a bit sick, so it's coming now. So now you know the model. I wanted to ask you how to grow 2x. So if you want to double the revenue of your company next year, how do you go about it? The first thing that people think about is, I need to hire more salespeople. I need to generate more leads. And this is more like the input, the inbound, right? With more people in my company, I will just have more prospects or generate more leads. if I ask my marketing to generate twice as many leads, okay, I'll spend more on marketing budget, but then I will have twice as many leads, so that my sales team can actually hopefully close twice as much money and more business. So that's one way of seeing it. There is another way. The other way is when you look at all those conversion metrics throughout the buying cycle or the selling cycle. Let's say an organization has got from prospect to marketing qualified leads, they convert 30%. From marketing qualified lead to SQL, sales qualified lead, they convert 20%. So 1 out of 5. Then when it's a sales qualified lead, and then they close between the quote here. So they got 85%, they send a proposal, and then or a quote, and then from a quote, they get maybe 1 out of 5 to that signs and commit. And then sometimes you might have some people who actually, they cancel like in the first week or two. So there is always a little bit of a loss at the onboarding phase. So when you look at those kind of metrics, conversion rates and so on, for an organization that is going to be maybe a service company that is having a recurring monthly fee of 1,000 dirhams, and they give 20% discount, it's let's say around 2,000 monthly recurring revenue. Okay. If you increase a slightly improvement every single metrics along the journey, 1%, so from 30 to 31, 20 to 21, 85 to 87, etc. And if you actually don't give 20% discount, but 10% discount, you have actually grown the revenue by 38%. Another slight improvement with no discount, and it's pretty much 198% growth, or pretty much double the revenue. So small improvements throughout the whole sales process and the sales cycle, and then you have actually doubled the revenue. And it's the same team. You haven't spent any money on advertising or marketing, and it's a sales team. So you haven't hired anyone new. So this is kind of a second kind of a way of increasing and growing your revenue, and I just wanted to highlight it to you based on that model. Obviously, you need to measure. So how you do that? 2 examples, one about email and one about referral selling. So one about email, we've all received those emails that are, dear Guillaume, etc., etc. You need to understand that there is a big difference between fit and impact, relevancy and personalization. It's not because some organization will try to find customers who fit them. You know, okay, who fits the bill? So, okay, let's talk to IT directors in mid-sized businesses in UAE, Saudi, and Qatar. Those are customers who fit my definition, my audience target, but they haven't asked anything from me, right? That's a big difference between that and who am I looking at, who I can impact. Who among my customers is getting the biggest impact and getting the best solution and the best impact based on what we provide, the service or the product that we provide, who has got the biggest impact, and let's try to find more like that. Let's talk to our customers, let's find out why they bought, what they got after they bought that they didn't know about and had a massive impact on them. And let's try to find those regions, those conditions, and those people, and let's talk to them. That's a massive difference of mindset between finding people who fit the description and finding people who we can impact the same way of our customers. So when you think about it, the emails that we all receive is something like that. Hi, Guillaume. I realized we are both attending Expo 2020 this year. I was really impressed by what you are doing at Extra Mile Digital Selling. So here I can see that this person has scraped LinkedIn because this is the name of my company on LinkedIn, Extra Mile Digital Selling. I can only imagine how fruitful the cooperation can potentially be for both Extra Mile Digital Selling and the name of the company. So this is clearly personalized, but this is absolutely not relevant. Right? So it fits the target criteria. Maybe he's looking for founders in UAE going to Expo, but so what? It's not because I fit his target that it's going to be interesting to me. So it's not relevant to me, and I move on. Now, emails that we get that gets our attention and we tend to reply to are message showing that the sender has done their research, right? And this is the number one criteria most people actually are using to reply to sales emails. Have you done your research? Do you show me that you've done your research, that you know my business, that you know my industry, and so on? So showing that you've done your research, that you can make an impact by having, again, done your research, you know that you are really more relevant. So you actually show also some estimation of results, or that you can make an impact and how, and align with one of my priorities. You need to find something that is around an event, a timeline, a deadline that is publicly available from public companies or reports or interview or post on my page or jobs listed on my website. Anything that you can find that relates to a deadline or timeline or some kind of critical event, then you can relate to my priorities, and then you can actually design an email that talks to a potential impact you can provide that relates to one of my priorities. And this is going to be mostly likely receiving a response from decision makers. So critical event plus impact, this is how you make emails relevant, and that requires research. You cannot use marketing or automated email to actually do that. You need to spend a bit of time, and LinkedIn, again, is, for me, one of the best resources to find research companies, to research people as well. Because, again, people are relating to what they posted and what's in the profile and what is related to them. So you need to address their business challenges, but also if you make it a bit personal by showing you've done research and you know them as well, or something they posted, this is best. So this is where LinkedIn and digital sales kicks in. And this is, social selling in a way here. I don't want to spend too much time on this slide, but most of you have heard about virtual selling, remote selling, and all of that. And obviously, COVID has transformed the way sales organizations and businesses are talking to their customers now. So most of the salespeople who used to go and have a coffee or have a shisha with a customer or doing social events, not possible anymore. So they have to actually use Zoom, be more present and visible on social media, and stay top of mind. So you have three kind of categories of actions or things or themes. One is referral selling, is around people. So understanding and identifying the people map in organization. Who are the decision makers? Especially if the services or solution that you sell are costly, complicated, you will have multiple stakeholders involved in the decision-making process. So you need to have understanding of who is involved, and at least identifying them and connecting them and meet them or talk to them. Okay. And the other point is actually it builds trust faster. If you know people in common with a specific person, then the trust is kind of higher than if you start a conversation or relationship with someone that you don't have anyone in common with, right? So that there's the referral and the people element to social selling. Then there is the trigger selling, which is basically around internal, external critical events. So it could be a job that, as a decision maker, a job that my company has posted, and I know that these jobs will be related to my team. So this is something that you can call me on, because this is a trigger. I need to have someone in that role as soon as possible. So that's kind of internal. It could be a job change, someone that leaves a company to another. Then it's a trigger here that you can use to either cover the risk of a decision maker moving on, if that's a customer, or it's a new opportunity because if that customer is moving on, maybe he's moving on to an account that could be a prospect for you. So internal and external critical events could be external, could be a change of legislation or something happening like COVID, for example. And then inside selling is all the content nowadays is online, and obviously LinkedIn is a big part of that. But there's so much information you can use online and find, and you can actually share it now, whether you share it on social media or online through a blog, and you can share it to many, which is basically like spreading and hoping for the best. And the best impact you can have is really sharing with one-to-one. So when you find or discover a piece of content that would be relevant to a key decision maker because they are at a specific stage in their buying journey, then it's going to be a lot more valuable than just posting on LinkedIn and hoping for that person to see it, right? So very important to use those three kind of dimensions. And if you are using all of that, or your sales team is using all of that all the time and consistently and effectively, this is what is called social selling or digital selling or modern selling, whatever you want to call it. But basically, this is the future, and this is actually now. This is the best practice of how using digital and social to actually sell more effectively. Okay. And last bit when it comes to referral, because obviously this was in the agenda, so I don't want to miss it, but this is a simple referral is usually rated as the number one, the best quality source for new business. When you've got a new customer or new person or new prospect coming in through the door that's been referred by someone else they trust, that usually is going to highly likely to convert, right? And that usually likely to become a new customer. So referral is the number one source when it comes to conversion and quality. And there is a massive missed opportunity for most sales organizations in out there. So I'm going to be talking about that. But when you think about this model here quickly, is usually when you actually have one key customer that you recently, committed with and they sign with you, you put them there. They are in the honeymoon period. They love you, you love them, everything is great. And usually what you want to do at that stage, at the very beginning of the relationship, is that you put them there, you use their model. And what you're gonna do is that you put that brand in the middle, and you put the name of the people and in that customer in there as well, decision makers. And then you try to find partners of that brand, people who they do business with and they trust. Then you actually find competitors, and you can list 10 competitors. And then you can list 10 past employees who used to work in that organization. Would you just, it became a customer of yours. And then you're actually going to try to find 10 referral. So then those 3 people, for example, are your new customers can introduce you to, right? So you can easily from one customer generate potentially 10 times 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. And you put it in an Excel spreadsheet, and you actually then after use LinkedIn or any kind of sales tools and processes you have to reach out. But again, the smart way and effective way. So when it comes to the referral piece, a simple one is, instead of asking people, do you know anyone else who could benefit our service or our product? And keep it like that. And that person on the spot will need to think about people who actually are the best match and that you can impact the most. It's unlikely that that person will think of the best people right away. And they usually say, I'll think about it. And that's a missed opportunity. So the best option that I found is that you do the research again before. You can easily find people that you connected with at your customer, and you look at who they know and who they connected with. And within this network or this list or this group of people, this is for you to identify 2 or 3 that could work in great companies that you could impact. And then you actually reach out to your contact at the new customer, ABC, and then you actually ask them, hey, I noticed you are connected on LinkedIn with this person, and this person. We happen to work with other organizations in the industry, or we happen to work with one of the competitors. Would you mind introducing me to this person? And so on and so forth. So instead of actually leaving it to your customer or your new customer for them to think about the right people to introduce you to, you have to do the research ahead of time. And this is what's called referral selling. So with that, I wanted to thank you for the time.
We actually have a question here from Amma, who's asking, in LinkedIn, can I transfer my personal account to a company?
Okay, so is this person is a person still, or is that person gonna transform into a company? So in a nutshell, you as a person, you can only have a personal account on LinkedIn. And so even if you are freelancer or consultant, which happens to a lot of people, you need to have, in that case, you need to have two assets on LinkedIn. Your personal profile will remain your personal profile, okay? And your company or your brand as a freelancer, you can create a company page or a LinkedIn page, which will be it could be Guillaume Consulting, for example. So, I can have two assets on LinkedIn. You need to keep your profile as a person, but then you need to create a page on LinkedIn. And it's that simple. If you actually go on your homepage, normally you should have a page, an option here that says create company. So if I go to a company page of a past company page or something, normally there's an option where it says create company page. So I'll show you here. So if I search for MR, and I here click on companies, okay. Okay, I have forgotten where it's gone, so I can follow up with how to create a page on a company page on LinkedIn. It's here actually. You see? I found it actually. So you click on work, and then on the right hand side there is create company page. You click on it, and then you just follow the process. And it's really important to keep your profile as a person, because through your own profile, you know, maybe your business is gonna thrive, and you still need to have your own profile as a CEO, or you want to hire, use your profile as a person to do business with, to hire people and so on. So your profile is really an individual profile. It's you with your own connections, with your own skills, and then your business is a LinkedIn page or represented by a LinkedIn page.
We have another question here from Mohammed. He asks, how can we get leads for construction projects?
Oh, okay. So again, it all depends on the customers, right? So what kind of customers because for construction project, it could be I'd like to know more about the type of businesses or the type of decision makers Mohammed is interested in. And the best way of doing it, you can do it on LinkedIn, and then you can search for people on LinkedIn or businesses on LinkedIn, or there is a tool called Sales Navigator where you can search for people in construction. So you see here, if I do geography, if I'm just entering UAE, and in industry, I'm searching for construction. Then in the search results, I will have more than 200,000 people who are actually based in the UAE and in the construction industry. And then I can filter by the type of companies they are in, the seniority level, even the relationship, which is really useful here. I can see who is second degree with me. So basically that means that how many of those know someone that I know as well. So then, for example, here, Senan, we have 34 shared connections. So it makes, or David Cook as well, it makes sense to reach out to those first, because we have so many other people in common that I can easily reach out to those people in common and ask them, do you know David well? Is he great? Or I might think of him for, discussion around this topic. Do you think this is going to be relevant? Or do you mind introducing me that by email? And that will actually increase the likelihood of David being willing or open to have a conversation with me. So I'm not, obviously I'll need to know more about the type of businesses that Mohammed is interested. But this is a Sales Navigator is a fantastic tool for salespeople to search and monitor accounts.
I think there are no more questions currently, Guillaume.
Okay. So do you want to go on with the slides, or should we leave it there?
I think we've just got almost 3 minutes left, so we might need to, I think, wrap up in the next minute or so.
Okay. So give me 1 minute. I'll go through the slides quickly so people can actually go to the presentation and have context, and then we can wrap it up. How much time do you need to wrap it up?
We actually have one final question coming in, actually, if that's okay for you to take.
Sure, of course.
From Michael, who asks, my business type is B2B. Do you think LinkedIn will help me? Because most of my customers don't currently use LinkedIn.
Okay. So for me, there is a quick way of knowing that, whether your customers are using LinkedIn or not. If your customers are not using LinkedIn, but they are on LinkedIn, it's still valuable. Meaning, you might have customers and their businesses, they might not be using LinkedIn, but you might have other employees in their businesses who might be using LinkedIn. So it depends on the level that you are at as well. So if your customers, you think of decision makers and C-level, yeah, they might not be super active on LinkedIn, but you can get a lot of value, a lot of insights from finding out information from who they work with, what they post about the industry, about their businesses on LinkedIn. So it's not just about the people you're interested in. Also, you need to look at the company, what they post to get insights, and then you need to look at other employees or other decision makers that they are working with. The second thing is that it's really unlikely, because at the end of the day, you have existing customers, but then there are your prospects, right? And so if we were looking at the construction, for example, earlier on, so you can see here, for example, this is leaders in consulting. I can easily, so 35,000 results in Qatar, Saudi, and UAE. And I can quickly click on spotlights. And out of 35, I can see that 5,500 plus have posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. So it basically indicates that, yes, not everybody is active on LinkedIn, and there is a small percentage of people who are active on LinkedIn, but you don't have to waste your time reaching out to people who are not active. You can very quickly cut through the noise, be more effective, find who is posting on LinkedIn, who is active on LinkedIn, and reach out to those ones who are on LinkedIn. And they posted, so you actually have insights or triggers to actually react to what they posted or what they shared on LinkedIn, to be able to get insights or use this as a trigger to reach out.
Yeah, there's no more questions now at the moment.
All right. So let's. You have a couple of additional. If you have any additional questions, you can reach out. And in the meantime, Jenny, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for everybody for being patient and listening and participating. And thank you, Jenny and MEED, for the opportunity and organizing it.
Thank you so much, Guillaume. We really appreciate the wonderful workshop that you've provided us today as part of the Gulf Capital SME Insight Summit 2021. And thank you everyone for attending today. We really appreciate that from MEED.